Slashes, huh? What's your favorite scary movie?
Not that one.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking, you don't want to hurt Mr. Snake. We're talking, I'm not defensive, and I will shoot anyone who says I'm defensive. And we're talking, as Shakespeare said, shit happens. And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking, you may find this cruel, but your behavior leaves me no choice. Tits out.
This movie is so stupid.
Yes, everyone, we are discussing Leprechaun 4 in space. Is this our first Leprechaun movie, Joe?
It is, in fact, our first Leprechaun film.
Oh my god, that implies there will be another episode on Leprechaun coming out, so you've been warned,
maybe
listeners.
The Vegas one. I think we could stretch the Vegas one.
The Vegas one is the best one, I'm sorry. That is, but I mean, we're grading on a very steep Leprechaun curve here.
Sure, yeah.
But okay, so I feel like we have a lot to, well, maybe we have a lot, maybe we don't have a lot to say, I don't know, but let's bring in our two guests who are waiting in the wings to help us out with this. So everyone, they are the hosts of The People Under the Scares, a podcast for fiends of the dark, eerie and disturbed, that reviews cult classics, guilty pleasures, and more. You may also remember them from our very NC-17 rated episode on Wild Things. Please welcome Bobby and Mike.
Woo! Greetings, y'all.
Welcome to Leprechaun 4 in space, gentlemen.
Now, you said that this is the first movie that y'all cover out of all of them. And I'm curious to know why this one to be the first.
Joe, what is your answer to that question?
It's because this is the gay one.
It was really funny because I actually had the same question, Bobby, but I was, because we don't have to cover gay things. We'll cover things that don't have queer content, and this is definite high camp. But when watching this, and I got to the drag scene, because I've seen this movie, I've seen this on the big screen because they did a screening at South by Southwest one year for St. Patrick's Day.
My God.
But it was a Master Pancake, so it was like Mystery Science Theater where they made fun of it while they were watching it.
As you should.
Absolutely. But I forgot about the drag queen scene, and I was like, oh, okay, there we go.
Gentlemen, we're talking about a movie where a leprechaun quite literally explodes out of a man's penis. Gay.
One of the best parts.
Yeah.
Well, it's ironic or coincidental, whatever word you want to choose, because we just covered Alien a couple weeks ago on the podcast. And so that this movie does homage or parody, I guess, maybe not homage.
Yeah, definitely parody.
Better sci-fi films. Again, the penisburster is an Alien ripoff of Chestburster. So it's synchronicity, we'll say.
There we go.
But okay, wait. So Bobby and Mike, what is your experience with the Leprechaun franchise? Have you seen all 6, 7, 8 entries in this franchise?
Oh yes.
yes indeed.
I will say I have a love-hate, but mostly love, just because I just love how goofy all these movies are. But Part 3, the Las Vegas one, is definitely my favorite one. That's the one I go back to the most fun I have. I like the first one and the second one, but the third one is my favorite for sure. The rest of them, every St. Patrick's Day, I'll watch them. A little marathon, and then that's it.
And Mike?
I enjoy most of them. I haven't seen this one, and I don't know probably circa mid-90s, late 90s when I rented it at Blockbuster. Might have been the last time I saw this. The only thing I remembered, well, we'll get into it later, but I enjoy Leprechaun. It's stupid. It's goofy. My favorite is the first one. Then I like the third one. After that, it's fine. It's fine. I'll watch it, but I need a drink.
I promise this is not a pointed question because you're both black, but what are your thoughts on the In the Hood and Back to the Hood films?
Ooh.
I don't think they're any worse or better than these. I don't really remember a lot of the jokes in it, so I can't even completely answer that.
They were very bad. I do. And
You know, okay, so here's the thing. I think In the Hood is like a really bad movie. Like even by Leprechaun standards, I think it's bad. But I've seen Back to the Hood twice, and I do find it entertaining. But I mean, if you ask me what happened in that movie, I could not tell you.
right. That tends to be a lot of people's favorite, the second one, the Back to the Hood, for some reason.
That's
And
because the cute guy's in it.
I mean, there's
Don't
eye
try
candy.
it.
First of all, there's eye candy in both of the movies. That's the only reason why I watch those movies. Okay.
I also think, I mean, I don't know, maybe I misremember because I've only seen In the Hood once because I hated it so much. But it was one of those things where I was like, there was kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge factor to the Back to the Hood that I do think is present in Leprechaun 3 and 4 that make the badness of it a bit more palatable, for me at least.
They're self-aware. They know that they're not good films.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say, though, if y'all haven't seen Leprechaun Returns, the 2018,
I love that one.
I have.
it's really good. I mean, I would argue it might be the best one in the franchise.
Well, best by conventional standards, right?
Well, it's also a direct sequel to the first film, so it like ignores all the others.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Warwick Davis didn't come back for that one because I would love to see him reprise his role for that film. But I think the actor who did that version of the Leprechaun did a great job. And I found it very fun. And it was happy to see some familiar faces come back to that one as well.
To die.
But don't they all? Don't they all?
There's a really good sprinkler death in that movie, too.
Yes.
But, Joe, I'm sorry. So what about you, Joe? Because this was your first time watching this movie. Have you seen any of these other entries?
So I've seen one and this one, and that's it.
Damn, Joe.
They've never been my favorite for no particular reason. It was just, I never had somebody who said, hey, you should watch these movies.
You haven't hung out with me enough then. You should watch these. And you should also watch Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, no. Please.
Oh, my God.
Please. Save your time.
I think 2 is really bad. I think Leprechaun 2, although because the lead actress in it, Siobhan Durkin, is like really, really bad. But there is this really good death scene where this guy thinks he's about to kiss a pair of titties, but it's actually a lawnmower blade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we recorded Leprechaun. Me and Mike covered 1, 2, and 3 this past March, I believe. And yeah, we had some things to say about Siobhan Durkin.
She made the movie for me, honestly. It did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, like she's so bad, she makes it better. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, she makes it watchable, is what I will say.
Please stop.
I think the problem with the second one is they don't know that this is a comedy yet.
Right.
I think they're trying to take it seriously.
Well, okay, but you said you liked the first one the best, and that one I would argue is the most serious out of all of them.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's, not dark, but out of all of them, it's
They have some darker
dark.
elements in the first one for sure. Some dark
I think,
elements.
again, that first one, it's trying to actually be a horror film, whereas a
Right.
lot of the sequels, they played a bit more tongue-in-cheek, right?
Yes, well, and that really starts with 3 because of director Brian Trenchard-Smith. Okay, well, here, let me go. I don't have a huge production history, but there was actually more about this movie available than I thought because the Blu-ray has like a 25-minute feature out of the making of this.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
You watched that?
Yeah, I sure did.
Trace does
that's
his
my
homework.
job. But I also pulled from an article by Brian Trenchard-Smith written in September of 2014 for the website trailersfromhell.com. And it says, it's called Before Sharknado, There Was Leprechaun. And he basically goes through his experience making Leprechaun 3 and 4. And in case you don't know, Brian Trenchard-Smith, so he is like a B or C movie like director who is, again, quality aside, like, you know, I don't know if any of his movies would be considered like good, quote unquote, but he very much knows the types of films he makes. And he's very well known in the industry for being able to stretch a dollar to make the effects look as good as possible. Not the case with the CGI in this film, but that's not him.
I like his work in he directed Night of the Demons too, right?
Yes, and that's why he got the job on Leprechaun 3, because, so Blue Rider Pictures, for whom he had made Night of the Demons 2, were asked by Trimark, who did Leprechaun 1 and 2, to produce the third Leprechaun film, and at that point, that was going to be the end of the franchise, because it was the first one to go straight to DVD. Or, sorry, straight to VHS, because it was 95.
Right.
But, oh, and also, I mean, like, I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on this, but I actually think Night of the Demons 2 is better than Night of the Demons.
So it's way more fun. I like the first one, but it's definitely more entertaining. And you have Sister Gloria in it.
Oh, yes.
And Christine Taylor. Oh, yes. Oh, my God, Sister Gloria. Oh, my God. Yes, it's Grams from Charmed playing an ass-kicking nun.
Yes, the holy water super soakers, the water. Yes, come on.
I have no idea what any of this is.
Oh my God, Joe! No, that can be like a movie for us to like watch on a Sunday night in Zoom one day, because it is delightfully fun. And again, an early Christine Taylor role. She plays one of the bitches in it.
Oh, of course she does.
But okay, so Leprechaun 3 cost $1.2 million. That's about $300,000 less than Leprechaun 2. But because 3 sold so well, so 3 sent out 55,000 copies, and it made it the most successful independent DTV release of 1995, which is wild to me. So then they were like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be the last one. We're going to do it again.
As in, maybe asterisk, oh shit, we made a ton of money, make a bunch more.
Well, and so, okay, so again, because the Leprechaun 3 is Leprechaun in Vegas. So they're like, okay, what are we going to do? What's the fish out of water? Where's the Leprechaun going to be in Leprechaun 4?
I mean, it's number 4 in a horror franchise. You gotta go to space.
Had Hellraiser Bloodline, is that 96?
It's the same year, I think 96.
Well, this is 97. So Hellraiser Bloodline came out the year before this, but that did go to theaters though. But so they wanted, again, this distinct location, and apparently at the Trimark Christmas party, they had a bunch of men that were just around talking about like using elements from Apollo 13 and using the tagline, Houston, we have a problem.
Oh my God.
It was intended as a joke for the Christmas party, but then everyone took it seriously, and they took it back to Brian Trenchard-Smith, who, because Leprechaun 3 was so successful, they're like, okay, well, let's bring him back. But, I don't know if you'll know this, but with Leprechaun 3, the script for it, they did a lottery where they basically said, hey, a bunch of screenwriters, like, the pitch is Leprechaun in Vegas, write a script, and they just picked the best one.
Interesting.
Project Greenlight.
A little bit,
Kind
but
of.
also, I mean, I like the idea of it in theory, but then when you pull back from it, you realize, oh, it's a studio essentially paying people $0 to write a bunch of spec scripts.
Yeah, basically.
Capitalism sucks.
But so they took it to Trenchard-Smith, and he goes, okay, well, it's funny, but it's also like, if we do Apollo 13, that's a very small ship. Do you really also want to bring it to NASA and have these big NASA sets? So then he said, what if we did, like, as the benchmark, Aliens instead? And I was like, well, that seems like a lot more expensive than an Apollo 13 set, but whatever. But the way he sold it, like, basically what got this movie greenlit was the CEO of Trimark, Mark Amon, was like, hey, okay, what do you see for Leprechaun in space? And he said, okay, and just describes the penisburster scene. And on that, they were like, yep, greenlit, give it money.
Wow.
You know what? Penisburster equals $$.
Well, and the thing is, though, like, I don't think it's a very well done scene, because there's no practical effects
you don't
to
see
it.
nothing.
He just comes out of his pants.
Right.
Yeah.
I was disappointed with that, actually.
Bobby wanted to see dick.
I did.
But, like, here's the thing, though, like, the CGI aside, like, I think the practical effects of this movie are really good.
They're often very good, yeah.
And so, like, that we don't have that for the penisburster, which is supposed to be kind of the centerpiece selling point of this film. It's like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I'd almost believe it if you told me they tried it and they couldn't make it look good, so then they just cut it and did, okay, Warwick Davis, get in a giant pair of pants.
Exactly. But so rather than lottery a screenwriter, they had Trenchard-Smith work with a man called Dennis Pratt on the screenplay. So Pratt is credited, but like Trenchard-Smith worked a lot on this with him as well. So buoyed by the response to the comedy in Leprechaun 3, Trenchard-Smith pushed Leprechaun 4 a step further into farce, incorporating sci-fi homage and parody moments. And he this is all from his blog. He's like, cinephiles smile, but the core audience wanted more horror. And he notes that he should have paid more attention to their expectations. Also, by relocating a mythological creature into space, as Jason X did, he destabilized the foundations of a good horror movie. Ordinary people in the real world menaced by the supernatural. And so he goes on to say that his his characters were a pastiche of sci-fi tropes, limiting audience identification. And he admits, this was a risky experiment which occasionally mocked the requirements of the made-for-home video market.
I get it. He's looking at it from a very consumerist perspective, but I also feel like people don't inherently go into Leprechaun movies looking for characters to identify with. Maybe I'm just shooting in the dark here.
I don't know. Can y'all name me a character you identify with? Actually, I'm sorry. I think the two leads from Leprechaun 3 are pretty good. I like them.
I hate all of the people on
That's facts.
It's fine.
I mean, I like the lead, the girl. A lot of people didn't like her in Leprechaun 3, but I actually thought she was fine.
Oh, no, I think she's also a decent actress. Like, she didn't do anything after that movie, and I was kind of bummed about that, because I do like her. But
yeah, she was cool. She was definitely better than Siobhan. Yeah,
Well,
I'm sorry.
It's more memorable. Okay, it's more memorable.
All right, because we laugh at her. That's why.
Well, I don't know if y'all know this, but y'all do know that the male lead in Leprechaun 3, John Gaddens, he is an Oscar-nominated screenwriter, because he went out of acting, and he got nominated for writing the screenplay for the Denzel Washington movie Flight in 2012. But he also co-wrote Coach Carter, Real Steel, Kong Skull Island, and the Power Rangers 2017 film.
Oh.
Wow, okay.
Here's the thing. Sometimes our first career path is not the one where we are most successful.
But yeah, so they get Warwick Davis back for the Leprechaun, who apparently is named Lubden. I think they may say this in the second movie, and that's just what it is. But I've seen like fan theories, which the fact that there are fan theories about the Leprechaun franchise is just wild.
Love it. Love it.
But
keep them coming.
Some people think that it's not the same Leprechaun in every movie. It's a different one in every film. Because
that's us.
Well, there's no continuity. There's no continuity between these films at all.
No.
Yeah, like we literally said that when we were covering it. It was just like the first Leprechaun in the first film was younger. He said he was like 1,000 years old. And then when you get to the second one, how old was he, Mike? Like
he was 600 something in the first one.
Oh,
and
okay.
in the second one, now there's like lore every 1,000 years you take a bride or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So, and he was 1,000 in the flashback in the second movie.
Right.
So present day, I'm like.
Well, also, okay, because Leprechaun 3 starts and like the Leprechaun is like, a statue.
Yeah.
But then people are like, okay, well, actually then Back to the Hood is a prequel to Leprechaun 3 because in Back to the Hood, he ends being encased in concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
But he got blown up.
Okay, I didn't think of that.
So
I love this. I love that people are going so deep on this franchise. You know what? Every single horror movie has its diehard fans, and I love that there are Leprechaun fans out there like this.
So the budget for this movie was $1.6 million, so it was an increase over Leprechaun 3, but they had to have CGI. And Trenchard-Smith's greatest criticism of this film is the CGI, which he calls below PlayStation level.
Yeah.
The CGI budget was $80,000, and he says, if we had $30,000 to $50,000 more, they would have done more in-camera effects and done high-definition stuff. But the budget they had extended to one pass at fixes, and if you want more, it's going to cost you, and they didn't have that money. So that's why the CGI looks like absolute shit.
It's funny you mentioned PlayStation because the space shots remind me of like Star Fox 64 a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest, when the film opens and it's like this janky asteroid bouncing around, looking kind of like Pong, it just felt like mid-90s. Like, I watched a bunch of sci-fi shows back in the late 90s, and they all look like this. So it's not like this. Like, obviously, this isn't inherently cinematic. It's not up to standards for the big screen. But on DTV, I think this actually would have been par for the course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you don't think this intro is better than the Alien intro?
I mean,
no, Mike, I do not.
I really, it's so funny though, because with the opening credits, I was like, why don't we just show space? Like, why do we have to have asteroids? Like, you're spending so much, put some of that $80,000 not on asteroids that don't fucking matter in the opening scene.
Mm. Especially when it looks like a screensaver.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But Trenchard-Smith also wanted to push the prosthetic boundaries even further. And of course, we'll see that a lot. But I think the biggest thing here is the mitten hand, mitten spider creature, which was 13 feet long. And each of the 6 legs rose up to 8 feet.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah, and it is this actor in the prosthetics. Apparently, he had like an actual like chemical reaction to it with his skins, but he was a trooper and just kept doing it.
Yeesh.
Although Trenchard-Smith is like, but if you really want to, I mean, you can say that like, you know, the bad CGI effects are an homage to the shitty effects of 50s B movies. If you really want to go that far,
Nobody's thinking about that, right?
You know what? Let's extend him that line of credit and say so.
Honestly, he is aware of the types of movies he makes, and so I just think it's you know, like, good for him. And I think that's why I'm a little bit lenient with this movie, because it does feel very aware of what it is.
Yes.
The only like fun casting fact I have about this, so the guy that plays like Major Sergeant Metalhead, he was based on the character that Arlie Ermey plays in
Full Metal Jacket?
Well, so it wasn't actually based on Full Metal Jacket. So Brian Trenchard-Smith had a 1989 film called The Siege of Firebase Gloria that starred Arlie Ermey, and so he based it on that. But here's the thing. So Full Metal Jacket comes into play. So Lee and Trenchard-Smith became like really good friends, and he cast him as the president in his early 2000s like religious film, The Omega Code 2. So they had
classic.
Yeah. Oh, I told my husband that, and he was like, "Oh my god, that's the stuff my parents would have like brought up," because his parents were like pastors when he was a kid. So like they watched like all those Left Behind movies, and like so the Omega Code is like one of those types of movies.
Oh no.
Yeah. But they written this Master Sergeant character with Arlie Ermey in mind, and were actually going to cast him. But at this point, Ermey and his team thought, well, basically the film was beneath him. Like, you know, he was kind of getting better roles, and it's like, we're not going to do a direct-to-video Leprechaun movie. I'm sorry.
I'm happy he skipped this.
Well, so here's the thing, though. Here's the Full Metal Jacket connection. So, Tim Colseri, who was cast as Master Sergeant Metalhead, he was originally cast in Ermey's role in Full Metal Jacket. Even shot scenes, but then Ermey came in and did some runs too and overshadowed this guy. So they basically told this Colseri, hey, you're not going to play this role anymore. You can play some other like machine gunner in Full Metal Jacket. And they recast him with Arlie Ermey. So this movie, it's like, oh, we wanted to cast Arlie Ermey, but we're getting the other guy instead.
It's like a flip.
Yeah.
Yes. Nevertheless, this film was profitable. It shipped about 40,000 units, which is a drop from the 55,000 of Leprechaun 3. And again, Trenchard-Smith says he thinks this is because he favored parody over horror, but it did not kill the franchise, but Trimark never hired him again. So...
That's sad.
I mean, he talks, you know, he says, this is a direct quote, with creative risk comes the potential for failure, but we gotta try. Nearly 2 decades later, because this is 2014, Vegas and space are still making people laugh at moments unlikely to be repeated in the history of cinema. It gives me satisfaction to know that Lionsgate, who acquired the franchise, have a nice little St. Patty's Day earner for the rest of time.
Okay.
True.
Yeah.
I hope he is cashing those residual checks every April.
Yeah, I mean, there is supposedly another Leprechaun reboot in the works, like a legit reboot, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Same.
I hope so. I hope it's dark, too. I want them to try to really stay away from the comedy and try to make it really dark.
Yeah. But I don't know how that would go, because everybody's so used to it, you know, what we have now.
I don't know. Right. I think a good franchise comparison, and granted, this is a much better franchise, but like I think you can look at the Chucky franchise, right? That started with horror and it moved into comedy, but then it went back into horror. And Leprechaun did try to go back into horror with that 2014 reboot with Hornswoggle, Leprechaun Origins. But they turned the Leprechaun into like a descent creature, so it does. I don't even think it speaks.
No,
That's a major error. The whole point of the Leprechaun is that he talks.
Well, but he's not cracking jokes. If he's not speaking, he can't crack jokes. So again, like Leprechaun, I've only seen Leprechaun Origins once, but like it doesn't even feel like a part of the same franchise, and it's not good. Is what I'll say.
I mean, they had me question what a leprechaun really is. I was like, is this what they're supposed to look like?
Creatures.
Well, because it's like these kids go to Ireland and they're at a cabin, and then like this like thing keeps coming after them, and I think it eats gold. I don't know. I think there's one good death in it, but like whatever.
You're not selling me on it.
Oh no, I mean, I'm not trying to sell you on it. Again, if I'm going to sell you on any of them, it's 3, Back to the Hood, and Returns.
Right. Okay.
But anyway, okay. Well, Joe, what happens in this quote unquote movie?
Okay. So I'm going to gently reference a piece by Matthew Raza called Leprechaun 4 in Space Needs to Be a Cult Classic for a site called the Good Men Project. I'm not going to give him any direct references, but he did spur some thoughts in various parts of the plot synopsis.
Okay.
All right, so we open on this godforsaken screed-saver asteroid flying around, and then we go into a ship with a group of Marines.
Wait, but the ship itself also looks like absolute ass.
Yes. Anytime we are seeing space, anytime we are seeing the surface of this planet, it looks janky AF.
We should have just stayed inside. We know where we
Honestly.
at. Just stay inside.
I'll wait till we get on the planet, because there's one shot on the planet that's like, ooh, okay, no, like just do a cave, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen some people say, oh, maybe it's doing a homage to the 1960s Star Trek TV show, and I thought that is generous.
You know what? I'll say yes. I buy into that.
I mean, sure, it's called cardboard sets, but yes, let's move on.
Yeah.
So yes, we've got this group of Marines, and they are preparing to launch a search and destroy mission on a nearby planet called Ithicon. It doesn't really matter.
I had that in my notes, but I put a question mark after it because I wasn't sure if that's what it was.
I know. I was like, thank God for Amazon Prime subtitles, because what? Okay, so let's meet our crew. We have Dr. Reeves. I'm saving the first name for later. And this doctor is played by Jessica Collins. She reminds me of, I want to say the name is Donna Derrico from Candyman 3 and also Baywatch.
Oh,
yes. Okay. Well,
does.
no. So it's so funny that you say that, though, because this woman who plays Dr. Reeves, I know you don't, Joe, but Mike and Bobby, do you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I have.
So she is the big-titted reporter that makes guest appearances that Dennis always tries to fuck. But she was also like a main role in that Eliza Dushku show, True Calling. Like, I think she was like the second female lead in it.
Oh, that's why she looks familiar.
But the woman that plays Princess Zarina, Rebecca Carlton, she's a Baywatch mainstay.
Oh, okay.
So,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think that Collins is bad in this movie.
No.
Like, I don't think that the character gets a ton to do, but I will say I enjoyed the antagonistic will they, won't they romance between her and Books.
Well, I don't know. Again, she seems like she knows what kind of movie she's in. I also love that. I mean, she like keeps losing articles of clothing as the movie goes on. Like, by the end, she's wearing a leotard.
That was the funniest gag to me. There's one point where I was just like, wait, is she wearing like an 80s workout leotard?
Yes!
What the fuck is happening right now?
Now that y'all say that, I'm like, that went right over my head. Okay. Like, I was like, maybe I missed something, and that's how she ended up in that. And I was like, I'm not going to rewind because it's not that deep. But
I think when she was crawling through the air vents and then the spider was attacking, I think he like rips. Yeah, she rips off her pants.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone didn't watch the movie.
I did. It's just that I probably blanked, and then that was
She
it.
had a moment that I didn't notice the first time around. The scene where they have the princess and the leprechaun, and she's doing an examination, and she's like typing away on whatever contraption, and then I guess she accidentally turns it to the camera, and it's just like the tiniest calculator on his clipboard presenting the press.
I mean, she's a doctor of biology.
This is true. Yeah. So yeah, she is a doctor of biology who has no business being with this group of Marines. And this is made abundantly clear because Sergeant Hooker, who is played by Tim Colseri, is not impressed that she's here, but he has to take her on because he has been ordered to by the man who has hired this group of mercenaries, Dr. Mittenhand, who is played by Guy Siner.
Mittenhand, too. Like, what what? What is this name?
The name. And he made me uncomfortable.
Wild.
Yeah.
I'm curious, to the three of you, because you've all seen this before, like I knew about this because I've listened to people talk about the film on podcasts before, but do you remember the first time you saw this? Did you realize that Mittenhand was going to be this ridiculous a figure? Because I thought it was very clever that we keep him isolated to screens so that we can get that big reveal later on in the film.
The Wizard of Oz reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had no idea.
Yeah, same.
So this is actually the first Leprechaun movie I ever saw. They used to air these on UPN, I think, a lot
Yes,
as a kid.
yes. I was going to say that, Trace. I remember seeing it. I remember I watched this like on a Sunday, and I watched this one, and I think it was 3 or 2.
Yeah.
And they used to always play them.
Well, and so I remember the first, I came in the middle of it, but like, I mean, again, like I was probably like 9 or 10 years old. And this, when he becomes the scorpion spider, I was scared shitless. I thought it was really scary. So I actually but I also thought like, oh, this is what the Leprechaun movies are, I guess. And like, we don't get anything like this in any of those other movies.
No. We usually get Warwick Davis riding around in a go-kart in a hospital.
Yes.
And telling girls they shouldn't be eating 4-leaf clovers.
I think it was a tricycle in that first movie.
It was.
It might be. I'm probably confusing it with
and skates.
Gremlins.
It was rollerblades as well.
And he rode in a little car and got pulled over.
And you are thinking of Gremlins, Joe, because I think in Gremlins 2, or maybe Gizmo rides around in a remote control car.
Oh my god! Don't
I
come
would
for
say
me.
the
I'm not conflating
Gremlins to me
Gremlins.
is just as good as that striped spider one from Gremlins 2. Like I think they're both pretty high up there.
Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah, I agree.
Spiritual cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so so also in this group we have Books. This is our male protagonist, played by Brent Jasmer, and he is assigned by Hooker to look after Dr. Reeves because she's valuable. We want to make sure she doesn't die on this stupid mission.
I think this guy's pretty good too. I think he's fine.
I like their chemistry, as I said. I'm gonna say it. He's got a bit of a wonky face, doesn't he?
Oh, so here's the thing. So this was noticed by Trenchard-Smith, who was like, yeah, he has a striking resemblance to Sylvester Stallone. He does a semi-decent impersonation of Sylvester Stallone. So they considered making him do Sylvester Stallone like for his character. But then they got worried that someone from the Stallone estate would get angry and like become litigious. So they opted not to do that.
I don't know. I think he's a little attractive. Like, he's an odd beauty to me. I always say that for people that looks a little strange, but it's something nice about him. And I call him odd beauties. And I feel like that's what he is. Like, it's something about him that's very attractive.
I mean, he's a face 4 and a, like, shoulders and chest 9. So, yeah.
I think, oh my God, this is so mean. I think he looks like a face that was kind of molded out of clay.
Oh my God!
I don't mean that I don't mean that as an insult. It's just more of a fact.
He just got left under the heat lamps a little too long. That's all.
So Play-Doh face bet.
Yeah, keep in mind, these people are on a ship in the middle of nowhere, so you got to take what you can get.
Absolutely.
So it's either him, Miguel Nunez, or actually, probably they all could have gotten on it.
Okay, Miguel Nunez, I remembered him dying, and I was shocked that he doesn't die, and I'm very happy he doesn't die because I really like him in this movie. I think Miguel Nunez is having a blast.
He's the best actor in this film, but they don't give Styx anything to do.
And he just keeps all that gore on him for the entire last 20 minutes. I was like, take it off.
It is funny.
Whatever, Joanna Man.
Okay, all right. You know, okay. Because me and Mike was saying, like, all right, I want to know if they've seen Joanna Man before.
Okay, so my sister and I used to rent Joanna Man from Blockbuster all the time when I was growing up. And
oh my God, is that why you posted that on Twitter, Trace?
Yes.
You were like, folks want to know, is Joanna Man still okay?
Well, no, I know it was never okay because critics even hated it at the time. But again, like, I mean, that came out when I was a preteen. And so we thought it was really funny. But I was like, I wonder if I would still find it funny now. I feel like the answer is no, but I want to give it a chance.
I think it might be, I guess it would be considered transphobic today.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like basketball Tootsie. So, I mean,
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't think Tootsie is transphobic. I think it's maybe a little bit dated, but I think that people even found Joanna Man offensive back in the 2000s. So I don't. I don't think people. I don't think the general consensus was Tootsie was. That
but I know
offensive.
I laughed. I'm sure I laughed watching it.
I laughed a lot.
And things don't have to be perfect pieces of art to also accomplish what they're trying to do. So comedy is often that, and I'm not trying to Jerry Seinfeld myself out of this, but there are cases where you watch something and you think that has not aged well, but I did still laugh, but I also acknowledge it's problematic, and I'm going to move on.
That's me in a scary movie film.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
The first two.
Yeah, the first two. Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't watch the other ones. Like, there's things in part 3 that I enjoy, but
the best one.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I
It's 3 and then
remember that one. What's 3? Which one is part 3?
3 is The Ring and Signs
Signs,
and
yeah.
8 Mile.
Yeah.
Hey, are you okay? Hey, are you okay?
Honestly, the opening of Scary Movie 3, I think, is the best opening of the franchise. But that's a conversation for another time.
Oh no,
That-
part 2 was great. The Exorcist.
no.
It's fine. I don't
And James Woods? No.
I would take the Carmen Electra one over that the Scary Movie 2.
Oh, I love the Carmen Electra. How did we get here?
Joe, you know what you need to... And Mike and Bob, if you haven't seen this, y'all should all watch Shriek if you know what I did last Friday the 13th.
I tried, Trace. I couldn't. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
God,
I could
no,
not
it's-
get through it.
It is a perfect high movie. I was shocked at how funny I found it, but the opening of Scream is... They do the Drew Barrymore scene again, which I was just like... But it's
Of course.
really good. I thought it was really... My husband and I both laughed.
I'll try. It's been years, but yeah.
I haven't seen it. I know I've seen the box in the store when I
Oh, yeah.
was at the video
Tiffany
store.
Amber Thiessen plays the Gail Weathers counterpart, and her name is Hagatha Utsley.
I can't tell. Is that even trying, or is that insanely clever?
Julie Benz plays the blonde bitch in it. She gets like a Mentos sequence, which is really funny. I mean, okay, just watch it. It's fine.
Jesus. Okay.
Is it fine,
Bringing us
Trace?
back.
Is it fine?
Okay, so we crowd into this 2D fucking shuttle and we go down to this janky ass planet, and then we cut. So we leave our Marines behind so that we can go to a cave. And this is our introduction to Princess Serena, who is played, as we said, by Rebecca Carlton. Sorry.
I thought the exact same thing.
Terrible. See, neither one of them laughed, which tells me that Rebecca Carlton is still like a white person joke.
Well, that's also Vanessa
that her
Carlton,
name?
not Rebecca
I was
Carlton.
going to say, wait, I was like, is that her sister?
It is Vanessa.
It's Vanessa. Okay, I know who Vanessa Carlton is. Oh, who the hell's Rebecca?
It just sounds the same.
Oh yeah, the girl that's floating in the air with the piano for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. White houses.
Oh my God. I mean, speaking of offensive comedies, I just always think of the joke in White Chicks where
Oh, yeah.
the one girl hears it come on and she's like, this is my joke.
Oh my God. I literally rewatched White Chicks 2 weeks ago.
I love that movie.
It's really well. Here's the thing: it's funny when they're in drag. It's not funny or good when they're as men. Like
Yeah.
none of those scenes are funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Anyway, sorry. Yes. So Princess Serena, she is being held in chains as a captive by the Leprechaun, who is, of course, played by Warwick Davis. And he wants her to be his queen. And in exchange, she will be made rich, because we learn that her father, who was never seen, by the way, in this film, we're just always talking about usurping him, taking over the throne, killing him, and so on. Never seen. That's fine.
I do like
But,
the attention to detail in this scene, though, because when he makes like the dining table appear, like all the cloth on the furniture is like emerald green, and the drinking water is emerald green.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fun stuff, and getting to watch Warwick Davis, flick his finger and how things magically happen is always a delight.
But she's very much a Princess Leia callback, right? Like that's what her entire costume is.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we jump back to the Marines as they leave the shuttle. I'm curious as to how people are going to receive some of the slighter attempts at comedy. So, we look around the surface of the planet and it looks totally destitute and rocky. There's nothing there. And Hooker goes, oh, it's kind of like Detroit.
Oh, that
Like,
wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was like, was I
guess.
supposed to laugh at that?
Mhm. It's definitely, we're workshopping some of the humor like it's an open mic night, and some of it lands and a lot of it doesn't.
Well, okay, wait. Question for the three of you. Is there you ever been to blank that's not Detroit that would have made this joke funny? Or is the joke itself just not a good joke? So it's a bad joke is what I'm hearing.
I think
Yeah.
He probably had to word it a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or be like, it looks like Detroit.
and I'm from there.
And I work there now.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah, so Reeves is reassured by the only other female member of this group, Private Dolores, who is played by Debbie Dunning.
I liked her.
I do too. I would have taken more of her, but she is given absolutely nothing to do.
Does she have a characterization that kind of stands out, though. Like, to me, the only defining trait is that she's the other woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the brunette.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. I wasn't missing anything.
I mean, Trenchard-Smith himself said these aren't characters. They are pastiches of like sci-fi stereotypes.
I guess I just wasn't sure if this was meant to be the woman from Aliens.
Vasquez.
Yeah.
So she's the Vasquez counterpart, 100%.
Yeah.
They could have tried a
but,
little harder.
less problematic blackface, so.
Yeah, but they also like straightened her out. She's definitely not a lesbian in this movie.
Right.
Oh, no.
No.
Who said Vasquez was a lesbian? Maybe she's just a little butch.
They didn't butch her up in this movie. They feminized her.
There we go.
That's true. The only thing I really remember her, like, again, like, we don't really get to know her much, or really any of these characters. She don't really have much to do. But I remember her death. I like the way she goes down.
For me, it's whenever Mittenhand is like, trying to like offer them the money to go kill the leprechaun, and she's like, "I'll do it, but not for the money, for Kowalski." And I was like, "Bitch!"
Right. I was like, okay, boo.
That one guy you nearly dick down, get over it.
Uh-huh.
You're literally surrounded by other dick. Just jump on any other one.
It's so funny. I was like, okay.
Okay, so speaking of other dick, we do have Private Lucky, who is played by Lad York. He's, I would argue, one of the cute ones, which means that he's about to die immediately. He's also a terrible Marine because he just shoots at something that moves, and that announces to the leprechaun that they're there, which gives the leprechaun plenty of time to ready his green lightsaber and chop the shit out of this guy.
This was fantastic.
It's so silly and dumb, and I quite liked it.
The way it's cut, though, because it's like he cuts the legs up, and we don't like. Because I don't think it's not shot to say that.
No.
Oh, that's what happens. Like it looks like he just knocks him over.
Just like, it was like, why did? Because we've seen a little bit more gore in the previous leprechauns. So in this one, like, I get that a lot of the money is probably going to the other practical effect, which is the Dr. Mittenhand's spider or whatever the hell he is.
Yeah.
But like in the CGI, that's terrible. But like, why can't we show these things? Like, why can't we show a little bit of gore, even if it's like, bad, like a quick flash of it?
Well, I would have even taken like some fake ass looking severed legs that are still standing next to his dead body.
But it feels like we spend all of our money on the practical appendages for the leprechaun, because when he does jump on this grenade to save Princess Sylvia from being, he goes into a bunch of different body parts, and then we reuse those body parts in the final scene when he's out in space. And I was like, oh, double dipping. We got to get that money's worth.
Yep. Cost cutting. Love it. But that's what Trenchard-Smith is known for doing.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so after we have blown up the leprechaun, we collect the spoils, and then this is when Private Kowalski, who is played by Jeff Mead, pees on the severed leprechaun leg, and we get to watch as electricity zaps up from the leg to his dick, and we see the knowing wink on the leprechaun's severed head.
Green electricity goes up his dick.
I would just like to say, you knew this happened and you were going to have sex with this woman anyway.
Well, did he know, or is that just for our viewing? Like, is it just
knew he got zapped?
He does look like he reacts, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I don't think he sees maybe he just thought that.
Maybe he felt it, but not seen it.
He shocked himself when he touched the tip of his dick or something. I don't know.
Every time I touch my penis, I feel electricity. Don't you guys?
You need to get that checked out. That's crazy.
They're in those army outfits. They're like, it's a lot of friction rubbing the fabric together. So it's maybe possible.
Hand wave away. Also, he's a straight man who wants to fuck anything. So of course he's not going to care if he's got an STI.
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
Also, do you folks think that this is a homage to the revival of Freddy Krueger?
Yes, I thought about that. Yes. And I'm just like, okay, pissing on something is coming back to life. I hate that revival of Freddy so much. It's like one of my worst.
No, you don't.
Oh.
I mean, I like it as... I appreciate the audacity of it because I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. But as like a fan of like the franchise and like continuity and logic, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't like that. But more piss resurrections, please.
I love that Trace just barreled through that entire thing, not acknowledging that Mike literally told Bobby, Yes, you do. You do like it, Bobby.
Oh,
It's so much better than electrocuting someone and bringing them back.
Okay, but like, all right, I accept it for the Leprechaun franchise because come on. But that's how you bringing back Freddy, a dog pissing fire, and then like it just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, look at it this way: where else can we see that? Nowhere.
here
True.
in Leprechaun.
Well, yeah. We need something fantastical for sure. I don't know. I would rather see it here than I would in Friday the 13th. Like part 4 where, he gets the cross and it gets hit by lightning. I was like, oh, this feels like we're actually trying to be realistic. Whereas here it's like people peeing and reanimating villains just feels so stupid. I kind of love it.
Yeah.
I also have a theory this is a different Leprechaun.
Okay.
Because he mentions all these different planets and all these different... He has to have been here for a while. So I get the sense he's a Guardians of the Galaxy villain or something. Because he mentioned many planets. He knows about this princess. He still apparently cares about treasure and gold and shit. But I think
it's the same Leprechaun from the second one. He's been around for a very long time. He traveled the world. He traveled out of space. Like, come on.
I think we can say that he can travel through time. But this is also the year 2096. And they also... the word leprechaun is never said in this movie.
Alien. Didn't they call him an alien?
Yeah, they call him an alien a lot, but it feels like such an oddly deliberate choice on behalf of the script. I don't fully understand why.
No idea.
Is it like we're making a zombie movie, but we don't want to say zombies?
Well, he also doesn't really, because again, the whole thing in the other 3 movies is he wants, I guess in 2 he wants a bribe, he wants his gold. And I guess that's kind of there with his jewels, and he's when he gets there later and they're all shrunk down, he's all angry about it, but the gold is not his
it's
goal
not the driving factor.
He doesn't get angry when people talk about gold or whatever. But whatever.
Yeah, it felt like a script continuity issue to me for a first time watch because I kept waiting for him to go after the gold because that's what he does. And at one point, he and Zarina just decide, oh, right, we got to go to the cargo hold and get my gold. And it just felt like it comes out of nowhere. Like, oh, right, we remembered we should have them do that to also stretch out the plot.
Well, we have to get to the cargo hold so we can open up the door.
Sure. Yeah, exactly that.
I'm going to be honest. I don't recall what he wanted at all in this movie. I just know he wanted her, and then he wanted to kill her when he realized I have to share and take care of her.
So basically, but they both want to kill each other because it's just I'll kill her and become the king and not have to worry about a queen. And she's like, oh, I'll kill him and become the queen and not have to worry about a king.
Yeah.
Well, I understand her side. Kill him.
Yeah.
But
but didn't he want to rule her planet or whatever the hell it was?
Yeah, but he doesn't need her for that. He just needs to marry her. If she dies after they're married, then he's good.
He's good. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
I'll confess, I liked it better when they reach this kind of détente where she says, oh yeah, you know what? That works for me. And I found it less believable, if you can find anything in this movie believable. I liked it better when they were actually on each other's side and Zarina was an unexpected villain. I didn't like it when they turned on each other.
I agree.
It reminded me of Rita and Lord Zed.
Yes. Oh my god, no, because her makeup does scream Rita over her costume is Leia, but her makeup is Rita.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we all hop on the shuttle and we travel back to base, which is our ship. And thankfully, this will be more or less the last time we see space. So goodbye, special effects. And Zarina is unconscious. We discover that she has lost one of her hands in this explosion. So Dr. Reeves is looking after her. And because she spots the necklace that Zarina is wearing, she identifies her as a member of the Dominion royal family. And this is all happening as we are introduced to pervy lab assistant Harold, who is played by Gary Grossman. Apt name. But did you notice that because Books is also there, because wherever Reeves goes, Books has to be there as well. And he keeps getting in her way, so Harold tries to get Books out of there. But when the two men come face to face, Harold definitely looks him up and down. I think it's supposed to be, ooh, I could take you if I wanted to, but it kind of just looks like he stares at his crotch.
Hey.
I didn't notice that.
Does Harold go both ways? I'm just asking.
Highly possible.
in Brian's, like the director, like his movies, there's a lot of like, what you call it, like hidden gay things in there. Because like even with Leprechaun 3, with the two guys, that's like they kind of was flirting with each other just a little bit, and they were saying things that was like, okay, these two are definitely fucking each other, you know. Right. I mean, I would love to be the third, but yeah, they definitely fucking each other.
Stay away from my silver-haired man, Bobby. Stay away.
And yeah, and then in this one, it's kind of like the same thing. So I feel like there's some, you know, a little queerness in a lot of his work so far that I'm watching.
Because it is highly sexualized throughout a lot of it. And I think part of that is we're trying to play up the underlying eroticism of things like military and armed forces, right? Where, you know, ooh, don't ask, don't tell, what happens behind the closed doors and so on. Like, this is an overwhelmingly male film. We only have 2 female characters. So to suggest that Harold is looking for any kind of action in this movie, like, sure, he'll take an unconscious princess, but maybe he'll take the hot, melty wax figure guy, too. Okay, so in the hangar bay, Harold demonstrates Chekhov's shrinking, enlarging ray, and then we have Dr. Mittenhand come back to tell Sergeant Hooker that he's going to extend their contract because it was due to expire, and this will produce tension and conflict between the two men. It's very much a whose dick is bigger, and Mittenhand often wins because he's paying the bills. So then we go to this rec room scene. Okay, and wait. This is where the movie really starts to get weird.
What is this room? Why do they have a stage in this room?
Yes.
Because who is performing?
I wrote, oh my god, now there's a party in the spaceship's ... event venue? There's a stage with musical instruments on it? ?
Entertaining, I guess.
I will say, typically, I hate the music in Leprechaun movies, but this was the first scene. I was like, I kind of like this music in this scene. I don't really get why there's a bar.
The music was given the same as Leprechaun 3 when the girl was dancing for Mitch inside the hotel room. It was given that same music.
Yeah. And see, that girl's really good in that scene because she's doing like a faux Marilyn Monroe voice. She's so good.
God. Okay, so people who are not doing good things in the scene are Privates Mooch, played by Rick Peters, and Private Danny, who is played by Mike Canizo. Mooch is dancing without his shirt on, and Danny is just awkwardly moving, and I was like, yeah, what does happen in this room? I get it, you know, this is where they blow off steam, they get a little bit drunk. We proposition one of the 2 women on board, presumably, but it just, I don't know. This has all kinds of weirdness attached to it for me.
I don't know. Like, I like the setting. Sure, the colors, bisexual lighting in there makes a lot of sense. And what's his name? Miguel Nunes. His character is it Sticks?
Yeah. Sticks.
Yeah. I was just laughing at him because he's just sitting there watching these 2 guys like, y'all shouldn't dance. Like, just stop dancing. What are y'all doing? Yeah. Like, what's going on?
But as Joe said, though, this room only exists because of the drag scene later. That's the only reason this room exists.
Yeah.
I mean, that put on plays and stuff that we didn't get to watch.
Sure. They probably have puppets or something that they do. Theater. Yeah. Okay, so Kowalski ends up propositioning Dolores, and they go out into the hall. They can barely keep their hands off of each other, but every time she touches his dick, it hurts.
He calls his dick Mr. Snake.
He does.
Yes.
It's true.
Again, the director has a thing for snakes because one of the characters in Night of the Demons 2, he called his penis King Snake.
Oh. See, that's better than Mr. Snake. Mr. Snake makes it sound like you have a second personality or something.
Yeah.
King Snake makes it sound like you are a narcissistic asshole, but that's kind of believable.
Mm-hmm. Wait, is that the guy Angela was riding like at the foot of the stairs?
No, that was
blonde dude.
No,
okay, someone else.
Yeah, that's somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. You need to watch Night of the Demons,
Yes.
Joe. Come on.
I guess I do.
Because actually, Moots is in Night of the Demons too, and he gets his hands destroyed by.
That's where he's from. I could
Yes.
not figure out where he was from.
He gets his
Oh
hands
my
destroyed by a
God.
pair of titties.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh my god. No. Okay. The hand titty effect in Night of the Demons 2 is so good. Like, it
Yes.
looks awesome.
What's funny is you saying that, I can totally envision it. I know exactly what you're talking about, even though I've never seen this movie.
The hand titty effect.
Titties. Okay, so yes, his dick does hurt, and all of a sudden, he kind of collapses against the wall. She's very concerned, and then we're meant to assume that his penis explodes so that the leprechaun can come out of it. And gentlemen, I have to ask, is it gay if another man pops out of your pants?
No.
Bobby, do you have a man hiding in your pants right now? Just answer the question.
Listen, sometimes.
Always.
Oh, you come off of me for that though. No, I don't think it's gay. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know what this director is thinking. Maybe in his head, that's what he wanted, and that's what he was probably going for. Obviously, the alien reference as well, but it's just like you could have done everything, but why would you choose to do a penis? So you know what? Yes, definitely gay. I take it back. It's definitely gay.
I will say, I hope what they should have done though, maybe they didn't, I just missed it, but like they should have had like that gooey, sinew, like gore stuff that's on Miguel Nunez Jr. at the end of the movie.
Yes.
That should have been on the leprechaun as he comes out of his pants. That would have at least been something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this effect just really is not it. You know, it's so clearly we're just shuffling things around so that we can have Warwick Davis come out of a pair of pants. And the implication is still very, very clear, but it doesn't have any, it doesn't really work all that well as a joke, and it doesn't work as a scare or a gore effect. It's just kind of, oh, okay, yeah.
Like, I would like to see in a super, I doubt this would be able to be shown on anywhere. And the rating probably would go straight to NC, whatever you want to call it. I would like to see an enlarged penis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like really, really big, like abnormal. And then just
comically
see,
large dick.
Yes, and just see the little leprechaun just like slide. I want to see his nails
Like
going
Anaconda,
down.
where you see the person inside the anaconda,
Yes.
only it's a penis.
Exactly, right? And then I want to
my
see the
God.
nails go through and cut through, and he just squeezes his way out of it, and then bam.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
See, now we're all just imagining a giant dick with a leprechaun coming through it.
Well, it was like, well, does he claw his way out of it, or does he come out of the urethra, you know?
True.
Right.
We did it with Hellraiser 2, though, like with the giant dick on Dr. Shannar's fucking head. So, I mean,
Yeah,
come
there we
on.
go.
We can do a little penis.
Well, just okay. What they here's the fix for it. Maybe this is wrong, but like you take the big scorpion tail that Mittenhand has at the end.
Yes,
and
you can use that.
You repurpose that as a penis.
Yes.
Right.
See? Come on, man.
It doesn't have to look authentic because technically it's not an actual dick. It's a dick with something coming out of it. So you can be like, oh, it doesn't look quite right.
Yeah.
Yep. Say sex, guys, and you can use it as like that. Just like
Oh.
I was really distracted by what's her name, Dolores, because her reaction to it.
I hated it.
His pants is bubbling up. She's like, "What the hell is going on in there?"
And no, this is what took me out is when he's already dead. And she's like, hurry, he's dead, bitch.
Bitch, he is dead.
He's dead. You didn't see this leprechaun come out his pants? Like, he's gone.
The way he flew, I loved it. The way he flew from.
Like, are we doing wire work? Is that how we accomplish this?
It looked like he was on a harness and somebody just pulled him, just yanked him across the front.
Jeez. Yeah, so the leprechaun reveals himself to Dolores and says, you know, more or less, I'm here for the princess, give her to me. And Dolores freaks the fuck out, and we have a standoff, and the leprechaun impersonates John Wayne. And it's a choice.
I mean, he impersonates Elvis in Leprechaun 3, so what are we going to do?
I mean, yeah.
I'm sure John Wayne is still relevant in the year 2096.
No, I'm sure the Gen Zers or Alpha, whatever you want to call them, don't know who John Wayne is. So
No.
Oh, yeah,
no.
definitely. They don't know who Baz Luhrmann is, but they'll definitely know who John Wayne is in like 60 years.
I mean, okay, to be fair, if you had seen Baz Luhrmann on the street, would you know that was Baz Luhrmann?
No.
I mean, I would, but icon. Okay, so she takes off running. She goes back to this rec room, and thankfully everybody actually believes her because they do just arm up and say, okay, we're going to go out looking for this alien that is clearly on board.
Yeah, this is the first of 2 Jason X style hunts through the ship for this Marine, which I'm saying Jason, obviously this predates Jason X, but like all I could think of was that boring scene in Jason X when they all just go hunt at Jason and then get killed one by one. Like we take out like a third of the cast in that scene, which thankfully we don't do here at least.
I like that moment when he's just chasing all of them, kills them all off. I loved it. I was like, take everyone out.
It's like in Jurassic Park 3, though, when like the plane kills half the cast before the dinosaurs even come into the play.
It's a little bit of why did we bother, but then you realize, oh, they were probably trying to flesh out the world so it didn't look like, oh, here's a movie that's populated by 3 people or something. Yeah. But it just... It always feels like, oh, you cast all these people and then you gave them nothing to do and you just murdered them. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, we start to wander the ship, but we do cut to this med bay lab where we get to see Dr. Mittenhand and Harold, noting that Zarina's hand has mysteriously regenerated. And, of course, we're noticing this as Harold is basically sexually objectifying / sexually assaulting her. And the two decide that they're going to keep this secret. It's going to stay between them for now.
Typical.
Okay, so the Marines are moving around. Dr. Reeves advises Mooch and Books that they should look in the contamination room, so she tries to provide strategies on how to make sure that they don't die, because you do have to suit up in order to go in there. And this to me was a very Hellraiser meets Friday the 13th kind of scene, because we've got chains hanging around, and I did love the comedy that they can't see very well in these suits, so they miss the Leprechaun in his own little mini suit, and he's got a knife.
It's funny.
It's very silly. Yeah. So he does end up cutting Mooch, and by the time we get him out of this contamination room and get the suit off of him, he's nothing but a skeleton.
Okay, but the way this is revealed, so they make it outside, and I think it's Book that just goes, oh my god, it's Mooch, and like Reeves looks at him and it's just this skeleton. But at least it looks gooey, you know? Like it does look like a decent skeleton, but I was like, it's Mooch, and I was like, what a weird way to...
Yeah.
It's not Mooch melted and is a skeleton. It's like, oh my god, like, it's Mooch.
But like, this is what you could have done with Lucky, where he gets, cut into pieces by the lightsaber. You could have had Jello on the floor and just been like, oh my god, it's Lucky.
Yeah.
Right.
So Mooch is definitely a skeleton, and we have not caught this alien who is still on board. So we decide to take the case to Mittenhand, because clearly if we couldn't catch this alien once, then it means we should just give up. So they go to Mittenhand and try to argue, hey, we should just give this thing what it wants, which is Princess Zarina. But of course, Mittenhand's not going to do that, because we've discovered if she can regenerate, then maybe, she could be useful to me. So this is when we get our reveal of what Dr. Mittenhand looks like. And I'm going to try to describe this for folks who have not seen the film. So it's more or less the upper chest, shoulders, and head of a human being attached to a computer console that has lab equipment attached to it.
And it wheels around.
Yes, it's motorized.
I think this looks pretty good. I love that whenever we're behind Mittenhand, it's clearly a dummy prop. It's not actually this actor.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It actually looks very uncomfortable for this actor, so I was pretty impressed with it.
I was going to say that it looks very uncomfortable. Like they obviously have him on like in something, and they got a whole bunch of stuff on him and making it look like that, because I don't know if I'd be able to do that. And I just feel like for Warwick Davis, like I feel like even though he's wearing a whole bunch of prosthetics and stuff too, the guy that plays the actor who plays Dr. Mittenhand, like I feel more bad for him, because
So, because I don't know, I know the makeup for the spider stuff took 6 hours to apply every day.
Cool.
Right.
But I also think that Warwick Davis was in the makeup chair for, I want to say 2 to 3 hours applying prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. That's just too much.
It is.
Yeah.
Because you know that they're getting paid pennies. Like, if the movie only cost 1.6, it's not like any of them are making $100K or something for this movie. They probably got $10,000 for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You have to truly love what you do, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because I always think about, I mean, I've said on this podcast before, I would love to be killed in a kind of really gory, brutal way in a horror movie, but I wouldn't be able to handle the stickiness of the fake blood. Like, it's just, and like, let alone whatever prosthetics I'm going to need on my body to like get this done. But like, even being a monster like this, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do that, man. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, like for that, I feel like it wouldn't be that long because your scene probably wouldn't be that long. But for somebody that's like Warwick Davis, that's a good part of the movie. It's your movie. And you gotta be in it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that's like just a terrible feeling being underneath that.
I will say, y'all, if y'all ever have a chance, like, go watch interviews with Warwick Davis about these films. He's actually very insightful and like very passionate about it. It's I don't know. It's nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't get a ton of opportunities to do interesting roles. Like, Hollywood still doesn't know how to use him. So for him to get a series of films where he gets to be front and center, I'm sure is a boon. He probably loves it, despite the fact that it's a pain in the ass to get into all this makeup.
I was going to say he's probably used to it though, because he wasn't the Ewok in one of those Ewok movies, so he's used to being like in costume. Because I feel like that's how Hollywood uses little people a lot, you know. I mean, or like, you know, in like stand-ins for the dolls in the Chucky movies or things like that. But a lot of times, like, they're going to be in makeup or outfits because they're playing creatures of some kind.
Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones stole his career, and I'm sticking to it.
There we go.
Well, I mean, he went off and did Harry Potter because he was not only one of the
was.
the goblins in the bank, but he was also like a professor. I mean, not a main character, of course, but
he was still in a very successful movie. So
Sure.
yeah, and I mean, like Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Willow, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably enjoyed Willow because he was like, oh, you just need me to throw on this robe? Cool.
Right. Wave a wand around.
Oh my God, I almost said Austin Powers. That's not him.
No, that is definitely...
That's Vern Troyer.
I know.
Michael's like, bitches, I said I know.
Vern Troyer, before he died, he was in this movie called Gnome Alone.
Oh my God.
That's very clearly a ripoff of the Leprechaun movies, but it's really bad. Like, it's not good. But he just runs around saying, I'm a gnome, like for most of the movie.
See, here's the thing. At least we get a characterization out of Warwick Davis. Like, he gets line deliveries. Yeah. He is giving a performance.
Yeah,
well, and
true.
And he's on record. He actually prefers the shift into comedy for these films. He prefers it when they're more comedic than horror.
It's got to be way more fun for him to deliver some of these lines.
Mm-hmm.
So a joke that did work for me that doesn't involve Warwick Davis, it does involve Dr. Mittenhen. When he keeps slapping his computer and it electrocutes him and then he does it again. It's so stupid, but I definitely laughed.
Same.
Okay, one of the biggest laughs in the movie for me is in this scene where we're with Mittenhand, he's offering them the money or whatever, and Metalhead is like, your ass is grass! Looks him up and down. If you've even got an ass!
So bad. So yes, they're trying to tell Mittenhand, we're not going to do this. You know, our contract is done. You have no power over us. And he basically says, well, how about if I just give you a bunch more money? Will you do it? So he and Hooker decide, yep, we're going to renegotiate the rates. And then the Marines get sent off to recover this alien again.
Except remember, Dolores, she's not doing it for that money. She's doing it for Kowalski.
Yes.
Okay. So this is when we discover that, yes, we can use Zarina's blood to regrow other people's stuff. So we do get this moment where we regrow a thumb for Dr. Mittenhand, and it seems very promising.
Off of what is it? It's his skin that's scraped off of his thumb, but it's also like that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right.
No. This effect doesn't look great, but we know what they're trying to do, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Speaking of made out of clay, yeah. Okay, so I didn't mention this earlier, but I do find that Private Danny kind of looks like a bunko Billy Baldwin, so I'm just going to refer to him as Billy Baldwin for the rest of the episode.
Sure, I can see that.
Yeah, so Billy Baldwin goes off with Styx, and then we've got, of course, Books with Dr. Reeves, and then finally we've got Sergeant Hooker along with Dolores. So we get to follow each of them for a little bit, and I think this is meant to offer us a little bit more character, backstories, if you will. Your mileage may vary. At this point, I'm kind of like, oh, we're going to do it now? I feel like we should have maybe done this a little earlier.
Yeah.
So we have this moment where Books is essentially trying to get Dr. Reeves to fall back because she doesn't want to hold a gun. She doesn't believe in killing. She is a doctor of biology, so she's not made that way. We do also learn at this point that her real name, gentlemen, is Tina. And that is a very stupid name for this character.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's common.
Dolores Costello?
I mean, that feels like we're trying to do Vasquez, so I accepted it. This is Dr. Christmas Jones, like, levels of stupid.
It absolutely is Dr. Christmas Jones. But she plays, she plays into this, which I really, really appreciate.
Oh, yeah. It's just every time I had to write in my notes, like, Tina. It's just like, this fucking bitch cannot be called Tina. I'm sorry. So anyway, the Leprechaun gets to them first. So he handcuffs Books using his telepathic powers. And Books is so smart that it takes him forever to think, oh, maybe I should try shooting these handcuffs to get out of this before I get barbecued alive by the Leprechaun. But he does eventually get there, and they have to escape by using a hoist to get up onto a passageway that's elevated above them.
Yeah, sure.
There's so much happening.
That sounds like that happens. Yeah, that happens in this movie.
Meanwhile, we have Bunko Billy Baldwin debating whether or not he wants to abandon Styx and the whole mission and just kind of hide until it's over so that he can collect the payday.
Which means he's the next to die.
Oh, 100%.
Also,
yeah.
When I was a kid, this is when I started watching the movie.
Okay. I actually like this part with Billy Baldwin dying because they're in a steamy kind of tunnel. It's actually got a certain amount of atmosphere. And then we get this great comedic beat where he watches a faux safety video that the Leprechaun does, where he's snipping off his own fingers. Looks great. And then he gets lured out and he gets crushed by a giant crate. And I just wish that the crate looked like it had any weight to it at all. This thing looks like it is made of plastic.
I do like the work video a lot. It does reek of Freddy Krueger.
It does, yeah.
But it's still entertaining.
Yeah, it does what it needs to do, and it's funny. So we jump back to the lab briefly so that we can see Harold continuing his work. He's drawing blue blood from the princess. He's also sucking up very aggressively to Dr. Mittenhand, and it's kind of fun to watch the doctor not buy into this. He is actively turned off by Harold. And again, I just thought, oh, is Harold trying to make something happen here? Or is it just, professional? I don't know.
For the sake of this podcast, we will say yes, he is trying to make something happen here.
Sure. Although, does he even have a dick if he doesn't have an ass? Who knows? Okay, so Dolores is the next to bite it. She gets stuck on the wrong side of a door from everybody else, and she makes a pretty valiant effort. She shoots up the Leprechaun into pieces. She thinks that he's dead, but of course, you got to do more than that to get rid of this guy. So he just regenerates, and then he drops her off what is clearly the exact same suspended landing that we shot earlier. And I do love this attempt at making us think that she fell, which is just a sideways angle instead of looking down over the ledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, I think the more fun part is when they find her body and in her dying breath, she's like, kill him!
That was so, I was like, okay, we didn't need that. We did not need it.
She was going for that Oscar.
But we did need it because this is the incentivizing moment for Tina to finally pick up a gun and say, okay, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to kill now.
You killed my fellow woman. Yeah.
You killed my wing woman.
But this is leading into what I'm going to say is the funniest part of this movie, which is, let me in, please. They tore off all my clothes.
And I love that Harold is so stupid that he buys that this is actually a naked Dr. Tina and not the... I mean, he doesn't know that the leprechaun can change form like this, but we, of course, all know that it's just like, oh man, you're really going to fall for this? This is so obvious.
I just, like, this felt like something out of a scary movie where she's just like, oh my God, they tore off all my clothes. Please let me in. And, but then also we get this cool moment where, like, you know, it's the actress, like, doing the leprechaun, but it's obviously Warwick Davis dubbed over her, but talking directly to the camera, to the audience.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fun.
It was an interesting choice. It was unexpected. So Harold does open the door and he immediately gets stabbed in the dick by the leprechaun so that we can get in. And this is where we have our tete-a-tete between Dr. Mittenhand and the leprechaun. Dr. Mittenhand is not very kind to our leprechaun, and he doesn't take it very well. You know, we do have a bit of an inferiority complex about our size, but I appreciated, Trace, I think you highlighted this moment on social media where we just see Harold try to wage an attack on the leprechaun, and he gets this saucer to the face, and it just flattens his head.
I love that part.
I mean, here's the thing. This looks really good. It's very Looney
looks
Tunes.
fantastic.
Like, it feels like something you would see in a Roger Rabbit movie, right?
Oh,
But
yes.
Yeah.
But again, like, this looks gnarly. Like, it, because his face is still moving, which is grosser. And but then he has like Charlie Brown hair.
Yeah. It was giving me Dick Tracy villain vibe.
I don't know that reference.
Yeah.
Like Flat Top or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That'll line better for other people, I'm sure. So, yeah, then we've got Zarina getting woken up with a kiss because they're fated for each other. So the leprechaun wakes her up, and this is when he blends her blood with both a spider and a scorpion and injects it into Dr. Mittenhand.
And don't he have a ball gag in his mouth?
Yeah.
He does, yes.
There's your queer content.
There you go.
Where did that ball gag come from?
I think the leprechaun manifested it just like he did the handcuffs.
Boo. Less interesting than imagining that we just have a ball gag lying around this lab.
That's what they do on that stage.
Yep.
Welcome back to Puppy Play, everybody. It's Thursday. All right, so the Marines break in, and we don't realize that Zarina is aligned with the leprechaun. So we wage this battle. Tina briefly gets burned by acid so that we can start to lose her clothes because this is an ongoing process.
I love that the acid just burned her shirt, but not her actual skin.
Not her skin. Skin is flawless. Clothes, gotta go.
Terrible.
So, because we don't realize that Zarina is working with the leprechaun, this is what allows him to take control of Sergeant Hooker. And, you know, we do this fun bit where Sergeant Hooker is almost non-responsive, but every time we cut back to him, he's got a different part of a fuse or a bomb attached to him. So they let the leprechaun and Zarina and Sergeant Hooker leave, but not before Zarina flashes her tits at everybody.
Okay.
And then we discover that this means it's a death sentence.
A lot of glitter.
Yes. So let me read this. I did it from my beginning part, but so she goes, "You may find this cruel, but your behavior leaves me no choice. This is your fate." And her tits are out at this point. "You have no one to blame but yourselves. Unspeakable pain awaits you. Look upon them and know that you are forever doomed. I am she who is all powerful. I am Zarina, Queen of the Damned."
Queen of the
and it's
Damned.
like, okay.
Yeah. It's such a great reverse joke because her tits are just out. She's monologuing this bullshit that we don't really understand. And then she leaves. And then Dr. Tina goes, "Oh, yeah, that's a Dominium custom. It means that we're all fucked."
So, okay, this is exactly from Trenchard-Smith's blog entry. He goes, "Like the obligatory topless moment that had to be worked into the story, a
Of course.
firm demand of U.S. video distributors at the time."
Yeah.
So Writer Dennis Pratt came up with the most absurd reason for nudity. On Princess Serena's planet, when a member of the royal family exposes her breast, she is pronouncing a death sentence to those standing in front of her. You may find this cruel, but you leave me no choice. He goes, it's fine. Miguel Nunez's reactions get some laughs.
Yeah, because the men are salivating like they have never seen tits before.
Yes, and Miguel should be lucky because this is like his second movie with a woman showing their titties right in front of his face, like Return of the Living Dead. You had trash literally just uncovered right in front of him, and he's sitting there with his mouth open, like, "Oh shit, okay, here we go."
I was going to say, Nunez is actually kind of a horror mainstay, because, yeah, Return of the Living Dead, he's the enchilada diarrhea guy in Friday Part 5.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I was trying to figure out why he looked familiar.
Well, we did just see him in well, not just see him, but he was in Scooby-Doo, telling Daphne that purple is a fall color.
Oh, yes.
Fall color? Well, now that I think about it, it is.
I think purple is also a spring color because of Easter, but...
Honestly, yeah. I was just like, did a queer person write that line? Because I feel like
Probably.
no one would have.
No,
Right.
James Gunn wrote that line.
What?
All right, so the action moves to the rec hall, and this is where we get Hooker doing a drag floor show.
Okay, what do we think of this? Okay, do we find this offensive? And do we find, or do we find it funny?
I don't think it's I'm not offended by it.
Mm-hmm.
I also didn't find it funny, but I was entertained by him hopping back and forth between characters.
I enjoyed it. Was it needed? No. But, I guess for some comedic relief, sure. I mean, I don't know.
He's the hard ass, right? So seeing him taken down many a peg and forced to reconcile with his feminine side, I thought it was interesting.
I find it entertaining. I love when he's like fighting them, but I guess the offensive thing, I'm not offended by it, but I do think that the humor of the scene is coming from the fact that it's a man in drag.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I actually feel like it's aged a little bit better because I think can look at it from a contemporary perspective of, what they're doing is they're actually mocking him for being such a tight ass. So I don't read it as, it's a gay panic or a man in a dress fear. Whereas I think at the time, it definitely would have played more like that.
Well, but because also I think the way that everyone else reacts to him, I think Book says oh my God, like you're in a dress, but I don't none of them react like homophobic or like about that,
right,
So
right.
I think that makes it play better.
Yeah, I'm happy they didn't go that route.
Because he is trying to dance with them, and I think he even tries to kiss either Books or Sticks.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
He kind of looked like Kirstie Alley.
Oh my God.
When I was looking at him, I was just like,
Kirstie Alley is rolling over in her grave.
Oh my God.
Even though she's not dead.
She is dead.
Oh my God, is she dead?
Joe, Kirstie Alley died last year, Joe.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gone, Joe. She's gone.
Is she dead?
Well, you know what? She was a garbage human being at the end.
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
towards the end of
here's
her
the thing.
life. Yeah, for sure.
I know Kirstie Alley was a garbage human being. I did really like her as an actress. So I was so conflicted with her death. Oh, I wasn't happy she was dead. I'm never happy when someone dies unless it's,
Oh my
someone
God,
that murders
bitch,
people.
just spit it out.
I just, when she died, I saw a lot of people shitting on her because of her very bad politics. And I get it, but I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm a kid who grew up watching It Takes Two. So
I was going to say, I'm still going to watch that.
Oh, yeah.
I love Kirstie Alley movies. I don't care what
It Takes Two. Look Who's Talking.
Look Who's Talking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I loved her in those movies just because, she was always just so nurturing and caring. I'm like, I wish my mom was like that.
Well,
Not to say my mom wasn't like that, but like a cooler mom, And
she was a really good comedian.
yes. And then, towards, before she died, later on in her life, I was just like, oh, man, come on. There's always the people you like.
Yeah, I think that's where you try your best to separate the art from the artist if you can.
Yeah.
It's difficult because, she was directly harming members
I just don't
of our
watch
community.
interviews.
So.
I just don't want to know. Don't send me anything. I don't want it.
I mean, look, I know she was a garbage human, or I don't know if she became a garbage human as time went on. But
there's that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, sorry, she's not in this movie.
Oh, is that not her in the number? She's not on the floor show? Okay.
I will say, I'm actually, because I like this metalhead character. I find him very humorous. So okay, we're doing the Ash and Alien, like, android thing. But I was kind of bummed that we lose this character in this scene.
I was bummed that he didn't tuck, because when he fell backwards, I saw a big old piece of meat.
I was going to say, that was a meaty tuck. Okay. If it was a tuck at all.
I was okay with it.
Bobby's like, I like a good bulge. I'm just saying.
I do. And look, it's just like, come on, you got a straight dude, well, allegedly straight dude doing this. So it's just like, they're not concerned on tucking your penis in. So
I'm sorry. I think he does a really good performance here, because there's a part where he like yells at Sticks, like, "What is your malfunction, Sticks?" But then he just immediately shifts to like crying, "I can't go on like this." And then he brings out nunchucks.
Yeah, for no reason. We've never had a hint that he can use nunchucks. Where did the nunchucks come from? You know what? That's why the tuck wasn't good. That's where the nunchucks were.
There they were. In his drawers.
And I'm sorry, I would have shot him. That guy saying about don't shoot him, don't shoot. He's trying to attack us, and I don't know. There's too much danger already happening. It's like a circus going on around us, and now I have to deal with this.
Truly. But I mean, I think we're also in the mindset that we're going to trust Dr. Tina, because she says, "Oh, I learned karate when I was in the Scouts." Which is also ridiculous, because that is a weird play on gender as well.
Well, because she doesn't like using guns, but she's going to learn karate. Okay. I guess that's self-defense, but...
She did that one introductory class when you go to try it out.
No, she said she got a black belt. She was in it to win it.
Trace, we both did martial arts, and you know that there's way more to it than killing someone.
I don't know about that.
It's about discipline. It's about self-defense.
Yeah, no, it is.
So anyway, we initially think that we've knocked him out, but then he gets back up and he does attack, and then he essentially kills himself by electrocution because he stabs a saber into a wall socket. And I was trying to figure out, are they suggesting that he dies from this because he's got a metal plate in his head? Or is it just, he's actually all circuitry because he's revealed to be a cyborg?
Yeah, he's a cyborg, so it electrocutes him and short circuits his system.
Which is silly, because if you know what a cyborg truly is, he already was one just by virtue of having the metal plate in his head. He was a human augmented by technology.
Sure.
It's not a revelation when they say, oh, he's a cyborg. It's like, oh, he was a cyborg when you knew him before those.
Right.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you saying that people that have metal plates in their head are considered cyborgs?
Oh my God.
Yes, I'm saying that people who use glasses or pacemakers are cyborgs as well.
Excuse me?
Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Glasses.
It literally is transhumanism. Look it up, folks. It's a real thing.
Wow.
It's also a way to combat ableism, because it actually means, Trace, as we talked about on Wait Until Dark, everyone is, many people are actually already disabled.
Well, you know what? This is going to my dating profile. Cyborg.
Transhuman.
Cyborg.
Anyway, all this to say, Kirstie Alley is dead, both in the film and in real life.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was about to make a mean joke. I'm sorry.
Terrible. Going to hell.
Oh my God.
Also going to hell is everyone on the ship, because it is set to self-destruct, because of course we're still doing Alien, so this motherfucker's going up in 10 minutes. So we jump back to the Leprechaun and Zarina. They have put a force field around the shuttle to make sure that nobody can leave, but they're also starting to bicker, so they're getting on each other's nerves, even though they're still technically on the same side.
Yeah, I love that. He says something underneath his breath. Oh yeah, I think he called her like a ball busting bitch or something. Because she was just being like, just very just mean and kind of bossy. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna get you everything you need, you ball busting bitch. And she was like, what did you say? And he was like, oh, I'm gonna make you rich.
Yeah. It's very, we've been together for too long, and we have passive-aggressive tendencies now. So when she does get a little too mouthy, even though they're on their way to recover the gold, he gets upset with her, so he gives her phantom zits, and then he knocks her out.
I thought it was boils on her face, but he calls her an oozing great zit, which...
Wow. This is not happy wife, happy life material, I'm just saying.
But doesn't that what he want anyway? Because I remember in Leprechaun 2, he was just saying that he has to make changes to his wife to make her look ugly.
Yes.
So
many changes.
Many changes.
That was a really good impersonation.
It was.
Wow. Just drag this poor actress. She's not even here to defend herself.
Excuse me, mister, this guy has a face of a 4, and it looks like...
You're the one who said he looked like he was melted wax.
I said it looks like his face is molded out of clay, which is not
Play-Doh
an insult.
face.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all terrible garbage human beings. So let's talk a little bit about what is happening to Styx, because he has been sent to find the code that will turn off the self-destruct, but he ends up getting attacked by Mitten's spider, which is what has happened to Dr. Mitten Hand. And yeah, Tracy alluded earlier, he's basically being consumed, and he's covered in viscera and gore and shit.
This is a fantastic effect. Like,
Yes.
Even if this is a half-star movie for you, you have to give this effect credit.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me
gross.
of Deep Rising.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's all I have to
That's it.
Okay, so Books and Tina get into a firefight with the Leprechaun. This is when Books has to take off his shirt because he gets a bullet graze on his arm, so the whole shirt has to come off, and he will be shirtless for the rest of the film.
Not complaining.
I didn't mind it. I'm just saying, you can put a paper bag over the head.
Oh
and
my
then you got
God.
that button.
Come on,
No?
Joe. No, he's not that bad.
It's called a running gag, folks. Get on board. Okay, so this is when we have to use Chekhov's laser. So we inadvertently make the Leprechaun ginormous. And it's very fun, especially when you get to see Warwick Davis check his dick right off the top.
Okay.
See if I got bigger.
But here's the thing, though. He's literally pixelated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So blurry. So blurry.
This didn't bother me at all, though. I
No.
mean, you could tell what they were doing, and I think there were probably other ways that they could have done it, like a rear projection that might have looked a little bit better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just so fun.
When we do Fuck, Marry, Kill on our show, I tend to throw the Leprechaun in for Bobby.
No, for
he
you,
always
because I think
kills
you
them.
secretly want to fuck the Leprechaun, you nasty.
I want to ask you again, now that he's huge, would you still kill the Leprechaun?
I'm not a size queen like
'Cause
you, whore. Like, I'm
said
just...
you wanted to bite his penis, and now he has one.
I think you secretly want to fuck him because you keep bringing him up.
It does sound like it, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Yes,
No.
you're nasty like that. So
You're so focused on his embiggened dick.
listen, I did not mention that at all.
He has lovely hair.
He's got those cute little shoes. He's a stylish figure.
Long fingers. He's a little passionate. You know, I can see it.
See.
I think if you kept him satiated, like if you had a gold coin next to the bed and he started to get a little angry, you'd just be like, oh, here's a coin. Shut up.
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Still. Okay.
Okay, so I do want to acknowledge that the Leprechaun has a couple of choice words for Books, and I'm not suggesting that the Leprechaun is necessarily gay, but there does seem to be some size-related banter, particularly now that the Leprechaun is huge. So he calls Books GI Squirt, and then he also says he wants to peel him like a grape, and I'm just like, I don't know, it seems a little gay.
Yeah.
What does that mean, getting peeled like a grape?
Yeah, do you peel grapes? I guess maybe when you're making
You
wine.
can.
I eat the skin.
Still talking about grapes? Look, Welcome back to Horror Queers After Dark, once again featuring Mike and Bobby.
Sneaking in there right at the end.
You know what? It's an appropriate moment to make a bunch of sex-related jokes because this is also when Tina loses her pants in the vent and she comes out and just wears a bodysuit for the rest of this movie.
I love this. Is so funny. I love this.
She also gets this great moment, right, where she has to put down Mitten Spider, so she freezes him with liquid nitrogen, and then she explodes him with her rain of bullets, because she's a killer now, baby.
He also does the flies. Help me! Help me!
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a bunch of references that we didn't point out, but this movie really is chock full of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Book rescues, I'm putting in quotation marks because he's still acting like she wasn't working with the leprechaun. Maybe he's just an idiot, but he does grab her and we get out of the cargo bay and we shut the door. And this is where she passes out once again, but Book hits the doors so that we can suck the leprechaun out into space. And he first contracts and then he explodes.
Which, as I learned when we covered Sunshine last week, this is not what would happen if you went into space.
No.
Are we a little pissed off that Princess Serena doesn't die in this movie?
She needed to go.
She needed to go!
Yeah. She
needed to be set free to be a villain on the loose or something. Like, this is the end of this character. This is the last we see of her is just passing out again.
No, because when she sees the leprechaun die, she has this thing where she looks at the window and she's like, the king is dead! Long live the queen!
Yes,
and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not
also,
my favorite.
Well, it's also like, wait, the king is not dead. Your father, who you were planning to kill,
still alive.
is still alive.
Mm-hmm. Here's the question. Will we watch a Princess Serena goes back to her home planet and tries to kill her father spin-off?
Sure.
No.
Who else is in it?
Yeah, that's the question. Who else is in it?
Styx accompanies her.
Yes, I would watch that.
There'll be a comedy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need something random. Oh, it's like a Romeo and Michelle. They're protecting the king while she's trying to kill him. I need something really random and crazy thrown in there.
Okay. Yeah. Like a buddy comedy kind of situation. Or maybe it's her and Styx are the Romeo and Michelle, and they just happen to also be on a murder mission or something.
You know what? I've changed my mind. I won't watch it. I changed my mind.
Okay, so you will watch the porno with the giant leprechaun, but you will not watch the Princess Serena Romeo and Michelle
train
spinoff.
wreck. Yes, you have to watch that. Don't act like we did not watch all those videos years ago that were circulating.
Of enlarged leprechauns fucking people? Which videos are you talking about?
The 2 Girls, 1 Cup is a video I'm sure a lot of people saw. I don't know names of other ones, but there were plenty of things circulating years ago.
Oh my god. 2 girls, 1 leprechaun.
See?
You know what? I'm willing to bet all of this is actually out there too. I know for sure. 2 girls, 1 cup. Yeah, that's real.
I still got what a time capsule. I still cannot believe 2 Girls, 1 Cup was a thing. I mean, I can, but
No, don't.
And actually, the music sounds like something that would be in this movie from 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
How do y'all even remember that? Like,
are you kidding me? That was like my freshman year of college, and we showed it to everybody.
gross.
Cultural phenomenon.
But like the reaction, I mean, I'm sure reaction videos existed before that, but like people that would like record their grandmother watching 2 Girls, 1 Cup and posting the video online.
No. Not in front of my salad. No.
Oh my god, no, seriously, just look up 2 Girls, 1 Cup reaction videos. Like that was better than the video itself.
My God.
I will never forget. I think I've told the story before, but when I first got to college, we were on a shared internet, so everybody within the dorm could access each other's computer files if you wanted to make them public.
Oh, no.
So, of course, everybody just did it to watch porn.
Oh, my God.
So, I remember stumbling across somebody's porn, and they definitely had the KD blowjob video. Did you guys ever watch that?
KD?
No, what's that?
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, God, it was so disgusting. Everybody who has an easily upset stomach, maybe jump ahead 30 seconds. It's a girl giving a guy a blowjob, and she goes too deep, and she throws up Kraft Dinner on his dick, and then keeps going.
What is KD?
Kraft Dinner.
Like macaroni and cheese.
Oh.
It was so disgusting. And then I showed it to everybody.
So that was your 2 girls, 1 cup.
It really was. I was like, I'm going to disseminate the shit out of this.
I would rather watch that, honestly, than 2 girls in 1 cup.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I don't want to handle vomit, but I can handle vomit more than I can handle shit vomit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are low bars as we talk about Leprechaun 4, in space. Anyway, yeah, so the ship is still going to explode. We put in the code, which is wizard.
Sure.
It doesn't have enough of a zing to it. This moment needed to hit harder for me.
Yeah, like, why is the movie still going, you know?
It's a little bit of that, right? Like, we've gotten rid of the leprechaun, but I do enjoy the moment where we see him floating around in space and he gives them the finger because, yeah, that seems exactly like something the leprechaun would do.
Yeah.
It's also a pixelated hand, but yes.
Sure. But, yeah, and then we end on this polyamorous throuple because, you know, we've got a shirtless Books, we've got Styx, and then we've got Dr. Tina in her bodysuit, and everybody is just looking like they're going to go to Pound Town when this is all said and done.
They should. You know, they deserve it. Why not?
Zarina's still alive, so I think Styx has Zarina.
There you go.
Boring monogamous heterosexuality. Come on.
I know. But, yeah, that's Leprechaun 4 in space. And Mike and Bobby, as the guests of honor, what are your final thoughts on Leprechaun 4 and its brilliance?
Exists. It is there. You know, I can watch a lot of stupid shit and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
This one...
Ooh, not making the list?
I don't think I'll be revisiting this that much. I just... Which is crazy because I like really dumb movies, but I don't know what it, and I can't even pinpoint what it is that I'm not enjoying about the movie. Maybe it's just too much happening, and yeah, it's too much for me. It's too much going on. Maybe too many dated references.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Scary Movie, like Scary Movie has like some dated references, but some of it is still funny. But this, it's not hitting for me. And I wouldn't suggest somebody... This isn't the one I would recommend if I told someone to watch Leprechaun.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
That's fair.
For me, same thing. Like I said before, part 3 is definitely my favorite. And same reasons Mike said, like, the jokes wasn't quite there for me, where at least in 3... Which is interesting to me because, you know, same director. So it's just like, what happened, my guy? Because... I enjoyed that one a lot. And it's not because we were in Vegas. It was just like those characters were definitely memorable for sure. I found something to like in each one of them. Even though I don't like some of them, it was something in there that I could probably like, you know, pick and say, you know what, I like that quality about them. And it's just more fun.
Call me the gay slur you called me from that movie. Go ahead.
Oh, a fagula?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a what?
A what?
The actress
Caroline
from Texas
Williams
Chainsaw, yes.
in part 3, she called the magician a flaming fagula, which means, you know, and he was definitely queer coded. So she was very messy for that one, but
A flaming fake.
Well, he stole her gold coin. He had it coming.
he did.
Right.
Yeah, but and that's why I like that movie more than this one. This one again, it is different because I like the you know, the spider scorpion, like that was really, really good. And I like the, you know, the lieutenant and stuff. But outside of that, I don't know. It's that I probably wouldn't go back to watch this one as much. And like Mike said, I wouldn't recommend this the first one to watch. Like you can do a marathon for sure if you want, but I wouldn't suggest this one first. But it's still a good time.
Yeah, I think that's where I come in. I mean, this is a movie where, like, I mean, I've seen this 3 or 4 times in my life because I did marathon the entire franchise once. Would not really recommend that.
No.
But I don't know. I think that what works here does work, and the fact that it's self-aware without being self-referential. And I think, everyone's clearly having a good time. Most people know what movie they're in. So I don't know. I think there is a charm, like a low budget, like C-grade charm to this, which is why I say, I would not say don't watch this movie, but just know what you're getting into before you watch it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that this is charming in its own way. It's very silly. It's a little bit campy, particularly the way that we are stripping down our leads over the course of the film. It felt very action movie trope. So I appreciated that it knew what it was doing, and most of the people seem to be on board with that. The humor, it's touch and go, and some of it is definitely dated, but I had an okay time with this. It's not going to be in heavy rotation or anything, but if somebody said, oh, is this film worth watching? Yeah, you give them the caveat, it's very dumb and silly, and then you send them off and they have a good time.
I just think also, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, like you can tell when the Leprechaun entries are uninspired, and I don't think this is necessarily an uninspired entry, which is why I give it the benefit of the doubt in a lot of cases.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
Well, before we announce what we're covering next week, Bobby and Mike, thank you so much for returning to the show. But let everyone know, where can they find you on social media?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ThackerayBinks86, and our handle for the show is at people_skits on these same channels. And our podcast is everywhere you find podcasts, the whole spiel. Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
And yes, Bobby Torres here with a Z, not an S. And like Mike said, you can find us all of those things. I'm not going to read them. Bobby likes to spook you on the YouTube and stuff like that. And obviously, Alter Tapes, I'm on there as well. And I just want to say, thanks again, y'all, for bringing us on. This was a lot of fun. First of all, Wild Things was a good ass time.
Oh yes.
So thank you for bringing us on for this movie, because even though it's not that great, it's still a fun conversation.
Okay, well, I feel compelled to say that the reason we gave y'all Leprechaun 4 is because we will be guesting on your show soon, and it is a much worse, longer movie than this one.
Okay.
Well, and also I reached out to you folks when you had just done your first 3 Leprechauns, so I thought, oh, well, people can listen to those episodes, and then they can come and listen to this one.
Fair enough. I love that. This is going to be a war, I see. I already start this.
Who can throw under?
I'm already starting to see what's coming right now. So.
Oh, don't worry. I have seen what we're covering twice, and I am not looking forward to watching it a third time.
Oh, boy. We'll if Trace is not looking forward to this, I'm
excited. It's going to be a great conversation. But
it'll be a great conversation. Yeah. Absolutely. On a ambitiously terrible movie.
There we go. Teasing it.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, please join our Facebook Horror Queers group. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want more content, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. If you subscribe today, you will get 312 and a half hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Hannibal Season 1, Episode 6, Under Paris, The Exorcism, and The Watchers. And to tie in with The Watchers, we've got a brand new audio commentary on the 2017 film The Ritual. But Joe,
yes,
I got a first time watch in store for me next week, one I've been trying to watch for a while. What are we covering?
There we go. Yeah. So after 2 weeks in space, we're going to head back down to Earth, but we're not going to keep our feet entirely on the ground because there are some levitating vampires in this movie, Trace. We're going to talk about a curious little trans vampire film called Bit.
This is one that I've heard about so many times, and I just never gotten around to watching it, so I'm happy to have the excuse now. I've heard it's great.
There we go.
Yeah. But, all right, everyone. Well, until next time, we can cross out a Leprechaun 4 in space.
Indeed. And cross out Horror Queers.